Good evening. Welcome everyone to the Columbia Heights Homeownership Resource Night. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Emily Voigt. I'm the city's Community Development Coordinator. I'm going to quickly go over tonight's agenda and then we will get started with all the information. So first of all, I'd like to mention that tonight's session was made possible by a Key Communities grant through the St. Paul Area Association of REALTORS, also known as SPAR. The Key Communities program builds partnerships between realtors and local communities. The City of Columbia Heights received a 2025 Key Communities grant and is using its funding to provide residents with information and resources about homeownership in multiple languages. So that's why we're here. To that end, tonight's session will be held in 2 languages. The same information will be in each session, presented twice. So from 5 to 6 p.m. right now, we're going to do the session in English, and then from 6 to 7 p.m. it'll be in Spanish. If you do speak both languages, you're welcome to stay and attend both, but you're going to hear the same thing twice. So just to explain what we're going to do in terms of agenda for each session, if my little clicker is going to work, maybe, maybe not. Nope. Just a second. There had to be at least one technical difficulty, so this is just how it goes. There we go. All right, we can see it that way. So just to explain what we're going to do in each session, we're going to break it into 4 parts. So the first part is going to be SPAR, the St. Paul Area Association of REALTORS, is going to talk about the home buying process, kind of give a general overview. Next, we're going to move into the city's role in homeownership and how is the city involved at all in that kind of process. After that, we're going to hear from ICF about sustainability and cost-saving programs for homeowners. And finally, at the end, we'll have a Q&A portion if anybody has any questions. So I am standing here with a microphone because we are recording this session, but the Q&A portion will not be recorded. So if you want to ask any questions, know that you're not going to be on camera. But we will have it available after the session on YouTube so people can watch if they couldn't make it in person. So currently, across the hall, they're setting up some dinner. If you would like to have tacos from El Tequila, that you are welcome to have tacos. You're welcome to go and get food, bring it back and listen, or to pick up food on your way out. That's fine as well. We also have some coloring sheets for kids. I don't think there are any kids in the room tonight, but if any of you feel the need to color during the session, you are welcome to do so as well. And I think that's about it for housekeeping. So we're going to get started. We will start with the presentation from SPAR, from Guille Garza. Come on up. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Guille Garza. I'm part of the board of directors for SPAR, the Association of Realtors in St. Paul. This is going to be so quickly, and I apologize because it's going to be so fast about the homeownership process. And I'm going to try to get the key points when you are in the process of buying a property. I've been a real estate agent for the last 13 years. I'm part of the board of directors. I was the founder for NAREP, the National Association Hispanic of Real Estate Professionals, and also our establisher for Women's Council Realtors, Twin Cities Metro. So what we do, what we're trying to do here is like, what is the process of buying a house? First, a lot of people confuse what is a real estate agent and what is the lender. So 2 different positions, 2 different roles. And basically, when you're looking for a property, the first thing that we have to look is the lender. I know we as a realtors, we promote ourselves, we are in social media and we jump and dance and all that stuff. But the first step is the lender. The lender is the one who is gonna oversee all your finances, who is gonna say how much money you have in your income, how many debts, how many accounts you have. And sometimes we confuse that, and as soon as we call the real estate agent, we told all these things. And it's like, wait. Legally and ethically, we cannot have any of your documents, nothing. So that's why the lender is there. So normally we ask a couple questions, like you are doing your taxes for the last 3 years. Do you have a job? Do you know kind of what your credit score is? just basic questions to know who can be better served for you. So for example, we have in the community a lot of programs. We have programs for IT, social security number, DACA, job permits, etc. So we need to know where we need to send you and who can be better working for you. And another thing that we see in the community is like people think that we only work with one loan officer, or probably the person that we refer to you, that's the only person that can help you. It's not like that. We oversee what do you need, and then we start looking if you need a bank. Maybe it's your preference. Sometimes you are open to brokers or small companies and small banks. That's what we do with your information. As soon as you are there, you're gonna see the whole picture about the finances. After that, there is a communication between the lender and the real estate agent. What I need to know is how much you qualify for. Sometimes you are qualified for a high amount, but it's not what you desire. Because, for example, I have 2 kids in college. They spend a lot of money, right? And it's not in my taxes. So even if I qualify for a high amount of money, that's not my desire to spend all that money, or I can pay monthly. I do that monthly payment for my mortgage. So this is a conversation that we need to know. What is your maximum amount, and what do you want? And also, because that amount can help us, as me as a real estate agent, to negotiate, to look for properties. My advice to my clients all the time is like, you qualify for 350, let's look houses in 330. Why? Because depends on the market. Right now, we are in multiple offers. What you want to do is you put an offer in a property that is 350. It's your maximum loan amount. We cannot do anything. You're going to get frustrated, and you're going to be mad, and you're going to say, you are not helping me. And that's the last thing that I want to hear, right? So this is why conversation is so important. Being a real estate agent, sitting a pre-consultation to know what do you want, what you can, is so different. Then we start looking for properties. Then we have a good conversation with the loan officer. What is your maximum amount? What you are qualified for? What type of loan you are? Because not all the properties qualify for the same mortgage, let's say FHA, conventional, all this. So there is a conversation that we need to know, what do you qualify for, what do you need, and then we want to start looking for properties. Next, like I say, we need to know the loan amount because it's important in this market. Sometimes we are in multiple offers, and we need to know if we can have a competition, we can send an offer, we need to negotiate. That's why we are here for. Then, after we go through the whole process, you have to have a conversation with your real estate agent. Basically, it's like, what are all the areas that you want to look for, right? What is your desire? What do you need versus schools, bus stops, etc. All those ideas we need to start looking, and we want to start looking for the properties that is match what do you need. Now, after we have a clear expectation, we start looking for properties. One of the first steps that we face is when you have an offer accepted, is the inspections versus appraisal. A lot of people think it's the same stuff. It's not. Inspection is for your own. It's basically to know all the details about the property. And obviously, it's gonna help you to negotiate if this property is the right property that you're gonna buy. Inspections go in detail. And you always want to go to the inspection with the inspector. You're gonna pay right there, and it's your inspection. Then we wanna negotiate. We wanna see what is needs to be negotiated. Now, the appraisal, a lot of people say, can I go without the inspection? And I'm like, oh, don't ask me that because I cannot answer that. But I can help you. The appraisal is gonna be the one who's gonna see the value of the property, square foot by square foot, rooms to rooms. And they're gonna be comparing all the properties around your property to see if the value that you're paying is the correct one. The bank is not going to pay you or help you with the mortgage 1 penny more than what is value. So here is one of the things. When we are looking for a house, we are in multiple offers, and then you offer more than what it is the house for sale. The appraisal came back, and the appraisal can say the house isn't the price that you offer. Sometimes the appraisal came back lower, or sometimes it's like you have to know what negotiation you did. You're gonna put money out of the pocket. So inspections, more personal, appraisals, it is more for the value of the property. I just have one example last month. I have a client who is a contractor. You know how the contractors are? No to inspections, right? Because they know what they're doing, that's their job, etc. So he said, Guille, I'm not gonna do an inspection, I'm fine, everything is okay. Seems fine. We had the truth in housing from the city. You know, some of the cities, not all of them, we have 7 cities who requires the truth in housing inspection before the house is for sale. It's like an inspection that the city does. Not as full as the full inspection that you pay, but it is an inspection. So what happened here is like 1 week before closing, the city sent an email to all the people involved in the transaction and say, sorry, we make a mistake. The truth in housing that we submitted for this property and the certificate of the occupancy is not correct. They have to do a new truth in housing. And we were like, what? Okay, 1 week to closing. I keep quiet until the seller react, because that's the first thing, then the agent. So the seller say, well, that's fine, let's do an inspection. The inspection came back with more than 7 things, plus the furnace. The furnace was bad, it was almost crashing. And I was like, oh my God, what happens if nobody noticed there was a mistake? By the next winter, my client would be without furnace. So what happened here? 2 things. Good thing, the city catch up. They send an inspector to do the truth in housing, and then they send the report. The sellers were like, okay, the more expensive thing is like the furnace needs to be certified. They say, okay, we want to do it. They get a quote, they get an estimate, and there was $8,000 because they need to change some parts of the furnace, which doesn't make sense. That was like $4,000 versus $8,000 if they change the whole furnace. They send it to us. Again, as always, options. Did your buyers want to pay half of the amount, and then we have a new furnace? I said, okay, let me talk to my buyer. I talk to my buyers and I say, hey, this is happening. They want to do a new furnace, makes sense, but you have to put half of the money. And he was like, oh, I'm putting everything that I have in my down payment because I need 25% because it's the second home. And plus, the money that I have is for finish it, the updates in the property. What can I do? So I say, it's up to you. You don't have to accept. You can think about it, or you just say, repair the furnace as you can, and that's what you want. He said, you know, I'm gonna go with that option because I don't want to spend more money. So I come back, I send the answer, and for some reason, they didn't change just the part that was damaged. They ended up changing the whole furnace. What is my thinking right here? 2 things. they are lying to me, and they were trying to see if my seller can pay, or they really say, let's get another estimate. And yes, they did, and the cost was less, but they ended up changing the furnace. So inspections, when I talk to my client, and it's a lesson learned for me too, and I say, keep pushing to do the inspection, because what happens if the city didn't realize that there was a mistake right there? And they just, that was a mistake. Everybody can make mistakes. But in this case, my clients for the next winter will be without furnace, or they have to replace it. So make sure that you know what are your options, and also doing inspections. Let me see my notes. Somebody have any questions? Nothing? No? Okay. So sometimes what we do also is like we have to make sure then when you are not ready, you are not ready. There is another consultation when we met with clients, it's like they're gonna buy a house right now, and they already have the lease and the apartment for 2 months or 3 months. I always recommend people came to us 6 months, 8 months, even a year. Why? Because you don't know sometimes how your credit is. So the loan officer, a good loan officer, is gonna help you to be prepared. And the best way to do it is to know how your credit is. Sometimes we have to refer you to nonprofits where they can help you financially, or they can help you to build your credit. A lot of people think it is so easy, or they just need to wait, or it's gonna be magic. If you wait for 3 months, the credit is gonna go up. It's not like that. We have to help the credit. We have to help how to build your finances. And believe it or not, people who go back with the financial advisors and come back, they are more secure. They know what they want, and they ask questions. If you don't ask me questions, I can miss some stuff. I can meet some things that I don't know about you, but if you go to the classes, you go to the financial advisor, they're gonna come back and they're gonna ask questions. And that's the most important thing for us, to have a client who is educated and they know what to do. Also, we have the first-time home buyers education. I know it's 8 hours. You have to go and sit down, but you can hear from lenders, realtors, inspectors, insurance, appraisals, etc. So it is 8 hours, you get your certificate, and then you're gonna know what is more outside. When you go to the financial advisor, also, depending on the city that you are looking for, they're gonna explain you if we have more assistance for the first-time buyers. And second buyers too. We have assistance, and we can see how we can get more money to you. So a lot of people say, can I combine all of them? And they ask me, and I say, well, let's ask the lender. The lender is the one who has all your finances, and they will know better what to do. Another things then I always say is coming back to the real estate. We are not the ones who do the finances. We can help you to find a house, to negotiate, and bring you to closing. One of the things is, like, as a real estate agent, we have the MLS, North Star MLS, that is the realtor system. A lot of people say, can you send me a house in this city, in this city, in this city? This is the price, this is what I want. What we do is, in that system, we do a search, and then you receive those emails automatically. I'm not sitting every night sending houses to my clients. It is automatically, it's not cost. It is part of the services that we do. The other thing is, why a client who is educated is more easy to work with. In MLS, we have all the lists, all the houses, 0 to millions, right? And the other thing is, like, every single home have specifications. We have for foreclosures, we have short sales, we have land trusts, we have a lot of properties that probably you are not qualified for. And the first thing is FHA and conventional. A lot of people who say, why this, I don't qualify for this house. Sometimes they say, because you are FHA and this property don't qualify for FHA. That's a quick answer. But what is FHA? What is conventional? This is part of the why you sit down with the lender who explain the different types of loans that you can qualify for. So by the time then we are working together, I send you a house, you send me 10 houses, 20 houses, and I start, okay, this is short sale, this is foreclosure, you need to close in 3 months, this is not gonna work. This is land trust, you have to go to a different qualification, it's not gonna work. This is FHA, you are conventional, etc. So when we talk about that and you send me 20 homes and I send you 5 back, then we wanna see, you are like, you don't wanna show me properties. That's what you guys thinking. But I say, okay, but if I send you the list back with all the specifications, then you're gonna say, oh, okay, this is what I can see. Now, a lot of those specifications, you don't see it. We are the ones who see it. Like, for example, in Northstar MLS, we have agent remarks and public remarks. The public remarks, that's what you see. The agent remarks, that's what I see. So every time then you guys send me a lot of homes to watch, I have to go and check if that house is gonna work for you or not. So the other thing is, right now in this market, a lot of people is thinking about it is a good time or it's not a good time. The answer is always depends, right? Like many things. Why? Because if you are ready, you have your credit score, you are being working in your down payment, and you need to move, obviously it's a good time, right? Better than rent. Always, it's gonna be better than be renting. So the only thing that I request for clients is like, be prepared, know your numbers, and get ready to start looking for properties. The other thing is going to those first-time home buyers education, help you to be more smart about looking. Now, as a real estate agent, I cannot talk about who lives in this neighborhood. I can talk about neighbors. I can talk about everything that can violate fair housing. We cannot talk about it. And you as a client, that's the first thing that you guys ask. How's the neighborhood? Who lives here? Do you see this? Do you see that? And it's like, yes, 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 no, no, no. That's my answer. So the pre-consultation, when we sit down, we explain, at least I do. I explain what I cannot talk about it. I work a lot of years in education. 2 years ago, that was my key point. That was like, you have kids? Yes, okay. I say, these districts are good. I was talking about education all the time. And then 2 years back, they say, no more, we cannot talk even about education. So I cannot talk about schools. So now my mouth is like, what am I going to talk about it now? How can I advise the clients what is a good way to go? So now, this is another thing I always, when people ask, it's a good neighborhood. Can I live here? How the schools are? Do you think who so-and-so lives here? And I always say, okay, let's do a list. If you're concerned about the neighborhood, go in the afternoons, go in weekends, do something different, go and take a look. I can go with you and I cannot talk about it. So now what I do is we have a lot of links, right? You go to the internet, put the zip code, put the crime, go to your city, check more things. I mean, be aware of what is around you and what the cities you want to look for. Why? Because that's the only way then we can find out. Now we cannot talk. Even when it's sexual harassment people, we cannot even talk about it. So we have a link because everybody has rights. So when you have kids, when you are concerned, we have to send you to look to those links. So this is part of what we do. How many minutes I have? I'm done? Okay. Okay, well, talking about the real estate is so extensive. What I can tell you, you are looking for a house, you thinking, talk to your loan officer, go to the financial advisor, get to know what do you need to do, and be prepared. And it's always a good time to buy a house. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gijay. And she will be here until the end as well. We'll have time for questions, so if you have specific questions for her, you're welcome to take those at the end. I'm going to talk pretty briefly about the city. So like I said, I work for the city. I'm in the community development division, and we are involved in a couple of different ways in the homeownership and home buying process. So I'm just going to touch on 3 of those pretty quickly. So the first point that I want to talk about tonight was the city's time of sale program. So other places, sometimes this is called the point of sale. They have it in a lot of cities in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. And basically, as you can see up on the presentation, it applies to the selling, gifting, or transferring of dwellings, condominiums, townhomes, and mobile homes within Columbia Heights. So single-family residences mostly, this program applies. And the requirement of the program is that residential properties have to be inspected by the city prior to their sale. So it doesn't have to be prior to the listing, but it has to be prior to the closing. And the process begins when the property owner or their representative, so a real estate agent, for example, applies for a time of sale inspection and they pay the required fee. After the city gets the application and the fee, the building inspector schedules a 1-hour appointment to inspect the property, and they go out to the site and the house, and they inspect it. Some people ask, is it the city who does the inspections? Is it like a private inspection company? It is the city. It is a city staff person who does these inspections. And during the inspection, they go out and they look for safety or maintenance concerns that need to be addressed. So really, they're looking for hazards here. And after the inspection, they write what we call a time of sale report that identifies any hazards, and then they share that with the seller. So the seller gets to see exactly what's on that report. The seller is also required as part of this process to have the sewer line inspected of the property, and they do schedule that by themselves, so that's not a city inspector who does that, but they do have to submit the video of that along with a cover letter to the city to demonstrate that it has been completed. So once the report and the sewer line inspection are both done, the seller and the buyer have to come to an agreement, if there's already a buyer, about whether the seller is going to complete the repairs or whether the buyer is going to do it. So there is an option there. The seller can choose to do the repairs themselves before the sale, or if they can come to agreement with the buyer can take on that responsibility. The idea behind the program is to protect buyers and sellers during property transactions, to not have anything hidden, hazardous that could pop up and jeopardize the sale or jeopardize the new home of the person who's purchased it. So safety and quality of residential properties is what we're looking for. Something else, I'm going to have a problem with it again. Can you hit my forward button, please? Thank you. Okay, so something else I want to talk about is permits. So once you've bought a new home, what if you want to do work on that home? Or what if you've already owned a home for a while, but you're getting ready to sell it and you want to do work before you sell it? You might need a permit. I put a list up here of reasons why you might need a permit. It's an incomplete list, but few examples: fences, retaining walls, decks, garages, roof replacement, new windows or doors, finishing a basement, installing new appliances, updating your bathroom. It's an incomplete list. Not everything always needs a permit, but a lot of things do. So what I like to recommend is that you ask first. Is that the city is always happy to answer questions about it. You can come into City Hall, you can visit the website, you can email us, you can call us, and you can talk to sometimes the inspector, sometimes the building official, sometimes me, depends on whose phone you end up on, and we can help you figure out whether or not you're going to need a permit for your project. It's always better to ask and figure it out ahead of time than to find out you needed a permit and that maybe you need to undo some of the work you just had done that was expensive because you didn't get a permit for it ahead of time. So just something to keep in mind. Like I said, I think a lot of people understand that permits are required, but I think a lot of people don't realize how many different kinds of projects do require permits. So I'd just like to mention that it's always best to check ahead of time. Okay, and the last point that I want to talk about briefly is code enforcement. So I think people kind of cringe when we talk about code enforcement. But just to explain the general process really quickly, it's about maintenance. So homeowners are responsible for maintaining their properties, including exterior maintenance. So in the winter, that might look like snow and ice removal from the sidewalk, keeping it clear so people can walk on it. And in the summer, that might look like mowing the grass, trimming the shrubs that are like hanging over the alley so cars can get by, trees, things like that. Outdoor storage, those kinds of items are exterior maintenance. And if homeowners don't complete this kind of maintenance, they might be in violation of the city code. So we have a code enforcement inspector who is a city staff person whose job it is to respond to complaints about maintenance on properties in the city. It's also their responsibility to help explain to people who receive notice of those issues, like how to help resolve them. But so the process is that when they receive a concern or a complaint, they go out and check and see whether there's a violation. If there is a violation, they write what's called a notice of violation. So that's a letter that explains the maintenance items that have to be completed, and it also sets a deadline. So it says these items need to be done by this date. If those items are not complete by that date, then the homeowner can be responsible for a fee. Sometimes they do the work themselves, but they don't do it in time. Sometimes it's assessed to their taxes if they don't do it. So they might be responsible for a fee until they fix the violation. And like I said, I think people tend to cringe when we mention code enforcement, but we really do know that the code is complex. We know that it's a lot of work to take care of a property. And so our team and our code enforcement inspector are always happy to answer questions about what does the code mean? What do I need to do? How can I resolve this? When is the deadline? Can you help me understand what this actually means? Again, we want to help homeowners comply, and we want to answer questions and be helpful to residents whenever possible. So online, in person, email, phone, all are good options. So I went through that quickly because I think that our partners have a lot of interesting things to say, and I want to leave them time. So we're going to move right on to the next topic, which is our partner ICF and Jane. Jane is going to talk about sustainability and cost savings programs. There you go. This is a little on the fritz, but
We can try.
give it to you. Okay.
While we're pulling that up, I can share that we have a couple flyers over here. We have some in English and some in Spanish. So if you're curious about this program, if you want a takeaway, feel free to grab one in your preferred language. So as Emily mentioned, my name is Jane Hannon. I'm with ICF. I'm here to talk about the Home Energy Squad program. You might have seen the vans zipping around the cities. This program's been around for a while. And it is jointly run by CenterPoint Energy and Excel Energy. So curious if anyone in the room has Excel, if you could raise your hand for either gas or electric. Does anyone have CenterPoint? Does anyone not know? That's fine too. Okay. Wonderful. So this program is offered to folks who are homeowners or renters. So if you haven't yet had the opportunity to get a house, you're still eligible to participate. We try and keep it to 1 to 4 units. So if you're in a duplex or a triplex, that's allowed. If you're in 5 or more, that goes into multifamily, so that'll be a separate program. Like I said, eligibility here, anyone who is a customer of either CenterPoint or Excel or both is eligible to participate. The goal of the Home Energy Squad program is to help educate homeowners or renters about how to save energy and money, make your home more comfortable, get rid of those drafts in the winter, keep that cool air in the summer, and overall just make your home more efficient. The way that we do that, we will send folks, our trained auditor staff, into your home. It'll be a couple-hour assessment, and they will look in the attic and assess how much insulation there is. They'll look down at the mechanicals in your basement and see if they're up to date, if they need to be replaced. I don't love to see that, but it's good to have that information and not be surprised by it. The auditor will provide a customized report of your home, so you'll have that information that'll help you not only understand your own home, but if you need to have work done, if you need to put in wall insulation, this information can be handed off to the next trade ally who specializes in whatever issue you need addressed. And while we're on site, we also do direct install of energy efficient products. So our team will bring out light bulbs and aerators and weather stripping, and they will install it right on site. So it's a pretty cool and fun program, I think. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the energy expert is what we call our field team members. They will come in and conduct an on-site visual inspection. Some of the items that people will get if they don't already have them in their homes, LED light bulbs, so we have different sizes and watts. Smart power strips, a lot of people like to put this on their home entertainment setup or on their work from home setup where you don't necessarily want to drain all of that energy to keep your TV running in the middle of the night. You can use a smart switch to turn it off so it's only running while you're there during the day. We do install thermostats. So we have two different types of thermostats. For people who are interested, we have smart thermostats. So that gives you even more control over setting a schedule, times, temperatures. If you're going away for the weekend and it's the middle of winter and you want the heat to turn on before you come home, you can use your smart thermostat for that. Kitchen and bathroom faucet aerators and shower heads, so that'll help reduce the amount of water that is needed. And weather stripping around attic hatches, so if it's drafty up in your attic or like your front or back door. You'll notice this is a mix of gas and electric measures. If you have just Excel Electric, for example, and some other gas provider, you can still partake in all of these measures. So all of the measures are available to anyone who participates. And then this is a sample of the report that you'll get. It'll have an assessment of your home. It will kind of tell you your how efficient is your washer, how efficient is your base load, right? Just sort of how much electricity are you using in general? Do you need to replace your hot water heater? It'll include some photos throughout your house and then specific recommendations of next steps and actions you can take to make your home more efficient. So thank you. We offer 2 audit types, and you all as customers have the choice to choose which one fits your needs best. Our walkthrough audit, we call our energy saver visit. That's going to be the shorter one. It's about an hour and a half time. We do ask that somebody who's 18 or older is home to greet the auditor, but they can kind of go off and do their own thing. They'll report back, but you're not committed to this hour and a half of shadowing them unless you want to. You're welcome to. This will allow for all of those direct install measures I just touched on, and then we'll also check the combustion safety. So those are your gas-powered appliances, usually down in like your mechanicals room, your utility room. Carbon monoxide check, and then attic and wall installation. If you choose to do the other audit type, so that's the full audit, we call it the energy planner visit. That one's going to be a little bit longer, usually about 2.5 hours. Everything that's included in that shorter audit gets included in the bigger audit too. The full audit just allows us to also do a blower door test and thermal imaging. So thermal imaging is like the coolest thing. I think that's like what you see up here. That's looking at, where are the gaps around windows. Often it really corroborates what you feel, that you're like, ooh, in the corner of this bedroom, I'm always chilly. You'll see that really clearly on the thermal imaging. The blower door test, if you're not familiar with it, is like a huge industrial fan that fits into your door frame, and we blow air through the house to try and see how leaky the home is. So both the blower door test and thermal imaging will give you tons of information about air gaps and leakiness, I guess, of how air is escaping through your home. So the City of Columbia Heights is one of just a handful that has committed to this energy saving program at a discount for you all. So everyone who participates from Columbia Heights gets 50% off their visit. For folks who are income qualified, and I have the most recent HUD income levels up here. For folks who are income qualified, you may get it for free or at a discounted price. So you'll see it scaled for the number of people in the home, and then we're looking for that lower income here, the 80%. So if you're 4 people in your home, if your household income is $104,200 or less, it is free. For the full audit, we do tack on $30 extra. That is all explained on the website, so if you have questions about the pricing, I can walk you through that. But regardless of the type of walkthrough audit, full audit, everyone gets 50% off. So this is the promo code down here, Columbia Heights 50. When you sign up on the website, you'll be prompted to include that. Again, that's just like, I think, a really cool investment from the city to help offset that and make this more accessible for you all to get your homes tightened up and more efficient. So I think on the last slide here, this is how you can learn more about the program. If you scan this QR code, it takes us right to our scheduling site. You can always call us, you can email us, you can visit us online, you can flag me down in the hallway after this. Like, we are here ready to help, and all of this information is mirrored on the flyers. So feel free to grab one. You can sign up now, you can take one and then sign up 6 weeks in advance, whatever works for your schedule. So I believe that is all that I had. Are there any questions about this program, about the offering, or how it may work in your home? Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I understood correctly. So those income levels, that's potentially free, but everybody gets 50%. Is that what it was?
Correct. So if you go back one more slide, please, thank you. So the walkthrough audit for non-income qualified folks, the walkthrough audit will be $70, and then the full audit will be $100. That 50% off is applied across the board. If you are income qualified, so if you make under those limits that I showed up there, the walkthrough audit will be free of charge, no cost. You get all the light bulbs, you get all of the weather stripping. And then if you decide to do the energy planner visit and you're low income, it's $30, but because you're in Columbia Heights, you get 50% off, so it's $15, which is like a steal. Yeah, of course. Okay. If there are no other questions, I can pass it back to Emily and team. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Jane. So I will say thank you to all of our partners, and then we're going to cut the video just so if anybody wants to ask any questions without being recorded, they can do so. So thank you to SPAR and Guy for presenting. Thank you also to ICF and Jane. We've been really enjoying the ability to partner with these organizations and to get to work and provide information directly from experts to residents. The city does have involvement in these things, but we know that we don't have all of the information and we're not always the expert. So we're really happy to get to partner with them and provide that information directly. So Taylor, if you're listening, you can cut the video. Cool. And if any